Hey guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Haunted Gaming. Sorry, I haven't uploaded in a couple weeks. Had some technical issues and I'm on the run from the police. Anyways, this week's creepypasta will be about Sonic's Adventure. Anyways, let's get into it. Alright, Sonic Adventure DeadX reading. Hello, my name is Jake. I want to share a story about a game I loved playing during my childhood. Well, not really a story. What I'm gonna share with you is an experience I had playing this game. That game is Sonic Adventure DeadX. The first time I bought this game, it was for my Nintendo GameCube. The game I knew and loved dearly was like this. I sped through levels with Sonic, raced against Sonic using Tails, and found the broken pieces of the Master Emerald with Knuckles. When I played as Big the Cat, it was pretty fun, but I was never into fishing. Playing as Amy was alright, but the robot that chased you through the levels scared me a few times. As E102 Gamma, I went through all the levels shooting up everything. Of course I have to mention Cow Gardens, breeding and racing cow. Back then I wanted a new game that was coming out, so I sold it to GameStop to buy another game. A couple years later, I found Sonic DX for the PC. It was marked down to $5 at the time. I bought it then and there. After installing the game and playing it, nostalgia hit me. I remembered so much from the game. Soon after beating it many times, I left it alone for a while and went to other games like Team Fortress 2 and so on. Some time had passed, so I went back to Sonic DX. I wanted to learn how to speedrun for Twitch, so I started the game and practiced glitches and shortcuts. I figured out how to skip past the first level where you have to save Tails. Soon after skipping level 1, I jumped straight to the level where you go to the carnival. At that point, my game started doing small glitches like Amy talking in Japanese. It was odd because I didn't know... it was odd because I didn't change the language settings. Needless to say, I went to the menu to check, and what would you know, it had changed. I swapped it back out to English and got back into the game. After I fixed it and beat the level, everything seemed normal. That was until I went to the Red Mountain stage. I started the level like normal, and going through I saw that a few enemies didn't notice me, like the monkeys that normally throw bombs. They seemed to be still and were just sitting there. I ran past them trying to make good time, but still most of the enemies were unmoving. I figured it was just a glitch since it's a port of an old game. On the stage, you have to get out of the volcano before it fills with magma. I noticed the ringmen in the locked cages are acting different than before. Normally they stand there with a slight bouncing animation, but this time they were banging on the cages like they wanted to get out. That made me stop and think, why are they doing that? Maybe skipping the first level unlocked a hidden animation. I waited for a moment, but nothing really changed, so I finished the level. After Red Mountain, I began Sky Chase stage. It was odd though, because the cutscene didn't activate it immediately start the level. Sorry. It was odd though, because the cutscene didn't activate. It immediately started the level, and Sonic wasn't riding the tornado, which was damaged and there was no driver. I completed the level and minus the glitches, like no dialogue, everything played normal. I knew Eggman's ship was next, but like the previous level, the cutscene didn't play either. I hadn't pressed any buttons for it to skip, but I pressed on as normal. Shortly thereafter, I reached the Sky Deck stage, but the game became unresponsive for a few minutes and started back up. I noticed that things were missing, like the rings and capsules. I figured I must have broken the game trying to exploit glitches. I continued the level looking for the end, but most of the enemies were gone, and the big cannon wasn't firing. I then decided to quit the level, but I found that the pause menu was gone, but the game still paused. When I had unpaused it, it was lagging / jerking. I went to jump to a platform that had died in midair even though I hadn't hit anything. I thought that maybe the enemies were invisible or glitched. When I returned to the checkpoint, I noticed Sonic hands were gone, and upon further inspection, they were. It was odd. It was an odd sight, but I decided to continue on and complete the stage. Instead of going to the next level, it led to the entrance of Wind Valley. I thought to myself, maybe I'll stop practicing and play some on other characters. I went to Story Select menu, but something was wrong. Sonic's tails and Amy's pupil eyes were missing. It was really starting to freak me out. I went to look at Knuckles and his head and arms were missing. I scrolled over to Big the Cat and E102 Gamma, but nothing had changed about them. I began thinking, this is not normal. Anyways, I chose to play as Tails. When I got into the game, it froze and loaded back to the main menu. I wondered why it sent me back, and I tried to play as Tails 2 more times, each doing the same thing. I stopped trying to play on Tails and went back to Sonic. Now Sonic was glitched. He started having erratic movements. I made my way back to Station Square and got into the first level, Emerald Coast. Sonic's running animations had gotten worse, and when running on the beach heading for the first ramp, Sonic fell through the ground and died. The level restarted. I jumped past the same spot with a spin dash. I fell through the decks, and Sonic's animation started spazzing out more than its regular speed and died. I'm wondering what's going on and why can't I get past this area? I tried again this time. I used a spin dash to skip to the next loop and made it. Finally, after multiple attempts, I made it to where Tails is. But then, the game started lagging like it's under an extremely heavy load. Tails was there, but he was lying face down. I was thinking, is Tails dead? I continued on, but when I got to Tails, Sonic froze in his tracks. I couldn't control him, he just stood there staring at Tails' body. Then the game crashed to desktop. What happens next brought me nightmares. I restarted the game and loaded my save file. Now things have changed again. Sonic, Tails, Amy, now their hands are gone and their eyes are still missing pupil eyes. I found this rather unsettling, but I continued and I chose to play Sonic again. The game loaded up inside of the first level at the very end where you would find Tails. Tails was still lying there and his model was covered in red. It looked like blood. Sonic has done complete level animation, but he didn't say anything, and as parts of his models were still missing. The game cut the black, then it was back to the main menu. I tried to go to character select and tried to play as Sonic, but wouldn't let me play as Sonic, same as it did with Tails a while ago. I then tried to play as Tails, but that didn't work either. But that didn't work either. But that didn't work either. I then chose to play as Knuckles. The game loaded same as it would normally. I expected the game to go back to main menu, but instead it loaded playing the starting cutscene. Everything was normal, but sounds and voices were very broken, like bit and pieces missing to the point that was almost not understandable. I then started playing and headed for the first level for Knuckles' story, Casinopolis, but it did not load into the level. Instead, it loaded up to the pool area. I then went into Emerald Coast to find that the level loaded. I decided to try play the level, but it's surprisingly easy to play. I then skipped large amounts of the level using his gliding. When I reached the end of the level and headed for the crash site, the game started hanging graphical issues. Knuckles' model was stretching and stringing out in strange ways. I reached the crash site. I saw the destroyed tornado and Tails standing there, his model covered in red, and hands were jagged and crushed. His tails were stretched and mangled, and his eyes were the same as before, just white. Just before I reached Tails, Knuckles fell to the ground and the game background started flashing black. What just happened, I thought to myself. I left my PC for a short while and tried to think about what just happened, since what I saw sent chills down my spine. I started thinking, did I cause Tails to die after skipping the first level? I got back to my PC and it was back on the main menu for Sonic DX, but the music wasn't playing. I then decided to play more and figure out why this was all happening. I went back to the character select screen and Sonic model was normal. I then moved on to Tails. I jumped from what I seen his model was like before at the crash site, his head tilted nearly upside down. I then chose to play as Tails and the game loaded, but it skipped the first cutscenes that led up to the crash and being saved by Sonic, but Sonic was not there and it showed the mangled mess of Tails. I couldn't bear to looking at it. I then ended the game, then deleted the save file. Ever since the game worked as normal. Nothing like that ever happened again. But I won't forget about what happened then. I'll still play this game, but I'll never do those glitches again. So yeah, that, ladies and gents, is Sonic Adventure DeadX. And I don't think it was anywhere near the best, but it did have some unique stuff. For starters, the whole, Sonic characters having missing hands thing was, kind of cool, and I kept on wondering, hey, what was the significance? What's up with this? It was a neat thing. And also I think this is like the first time I've seen it or read a creepypasta where the protagonist, there's a protagonist who speedruns. Which brings me to my next point. There wasn't really any reason as to why a lot of this stuff happened. For example, the playable characters having their pupil eyes missing, and the glitches, they just happened for no reason. There was a lot of it had no significance. It was just there for no reason. So I would encourage the writer to maybe expand on that a bit, maybe give a reason, maybe build on that. I think that would be cool, and I wonder what you guys think this creepypasta. So, please tell me down below in the comment section while you're down there. Please tell me what you guys want to see on this channel, epic playthroughs or more creepypastas or just something different. Just tell me what you guys want to see. Tell me what you think. I want to know what you guys think, which is why I will see you all in my next video. Bye bye.